So Dragon Ball Z has always had several really popular characters, whether it's Goku all the way to Trunks, Gohan, Broly even, if you want to take into consideration the extended universe of Dragon Ball, whether it's canon, not canon, etc., etc. And of course, you got to throw in Vegeta. So for today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about which character in particular I think, and my co-host for today's video, Mark, aka Real to Real, thinks it has a very big fan base. So now, before we get started, say what's up, man. How's it going?
What's up, DFree? What's up, everyone? Always really good to be here. Thanks for having me on this discussion, man.
It's always, man, you know, I gotta have you, man, represent one time for the one time. No. So like I said, guys, we're going to talk about which character we personally think has the biggest fan base. And at any point, feel free to leave a like down below if you agree with me, and leave a dislike down below if you guys would agree with Mark for what he's saying. So we're going to kind of just contrast here a little bit. So I'm going to start us off and say I personally think that when you look at fan bases, I would really love to say that Gohan has the biggest one, you know, because that's my guy, it's my dude. But, you know, if he had more of a fan base, I think that Dragon Ball Super would treat him a little bit more kindly, because the show, let's just be honest, it does pander a lot to the fan base, and, you know, it does a lot of fan service here and there. So I think they would treat him a little bit better. So I think they recognize that he does not have the biggest fan base, at least anymore. But I think a character that really does have a really massive fan base and always really has had a massive following, it's Trunks. Now, before I get into this, I did do a video a while back. I'm going to shamelessly plug that here. I'm going to leave it in the description for you guys. Check it out, why I think Trunks is so popular, to get a little bit more insight into my opinions on the Trunks character. But I think that Trunks is interesting character. Future Trunks, of course, not the kid version, because nobody really cares about that guy, because he turned out to be a total fuckboy. Anyways.
But everyone loves Goten.
Yeah, Goten's a savage, though, because he turns out into a complete womanizer. No, so like about Trunks, man, I think that Trunks is interesting because he's a character that, you know, came from such an apocalyptic future. He was the first character that we saw that was a Super Saiyan other than Goku. His initial introduction into the series, he beats a character who they built up for the duration of the series before that, basically, and he does it single-handedly really easily. And we just saw this guy just get out of a death battle with Goku, you know? So Trunks' whole introduction into the series was I think it was executed perfectly. And then it gets into a spar with him and Goku. These guys are both Super Saiyans. Then you get into the whole emotional factor from Vegeta, like, why is everybody Super Saiyan but me? And then, you know, from there, he goes back into his time and he defeats the androids, and he's supposed to live happily ever after until Dragon Ball Super comes around, of course. But I think you got to take it a step further, too, in that this guy was absent from the series for the whole Buu saga and several years. You know, he really didn't have a role in GT, which was supposed to be the continuation, canon or not. That's what it was supposed to be. You know, he didn't really have a role. He was replaced by the older version of the current timeline Trunks for obvious reasons. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. So that Trunks really wasn't a factor anymore, but he was always somebody that was really dear to a lot of people. Now, when it comes to games and stuff like that, in the last 5, 6, 7 years or whatnot, with the introduction of Dragon Ball Online and the Time Patrollers and all that stuff, he got more prominent roles again, and he's been in that. He's been in Dokkan. He's got prominent roles in Xenoverse and in Xenoverse 2 because they're loose adaptations, of Dragon Ball Online. So he's just a character that's kind of hung around, and then now he even got to the point where he was so popular that he has to make a reintroduction back into the series after so many years, after so much time has passed, after so much content has come out. He's back in the series and everybody's loving it. So that's why he's my pick.
Well, no, I understand that. I definitely understand that. And I'm not necessarily sure whether it's fair to sit around and say that Trunks hasn't, like, he had such a major impact on the canon and has a huge fan base just because he was in this one particular arc of Dragon Ball Z in the whole scope of things. I mean, I feel like especially in the greater extended universe, the video games especially, they've really kind of put a lot of weight onto future Trunks because the whole time traveling thing is so important to, or such a unique aspect of how they tell their stories in games, be it Shin Budokai, Dokkan, Xenoverse, or anything else. Like, he helps, like, kind of pivot into a video game type centric story, which really helps them. But honestly, I have to say Vegeta, and I know like it's worth saying that, like, yes, Trunks and Gohan are definitely big characters in their own right, but I feel like Vegeta, for the most part, I mean, he's had at least if we're taking like the way that Super has definitely been kind of promoting him. I mean, he's had the most character development in this entire new series so far. He's been basically the only character who's we've actually seen change, gone through any type of emotional arc or anything, unless you're counting Gohan, which is basically like, oh, I'm going to be a daddy now and can't do anything else with my life besides be a daddy. I can't even go after the job that I skipped the tournament for. Really?
Yeah, he turned that shit down. Totally. What was the point, right?
So I think it's Vegeta. Vegeta has definitely a big fan base. I mean, obviously Toriyama himself has even said that he necessarily didn't even like Vegeta, or he didn't think Vegeta really deserved wins or something like that. I don't have the quote right in front of me, but like obviously his mind has changed on Vegeta, and I don't know if it's just Toriyama's mind has changed on Vegeta or just because so many people have loved this guy. I mean, he's the father of the child of the future. Like, he is basically the catalyst of Trunks. He's basically most of Trunks's emotion or determination or something to get Vegeta to like him. Everyone loves Vegeta to one degree or another. But if I'm being really completely honest, I think the character who has more love than they literally should have because of just impact. I mean, Vegeta's been around forever. Like I said, Trunks has been around in the promotional material and all the video game, all that other stuff. Goku's just the main character, and Gohan has had some major spotlight. Broly to me has to be the most beloved character for literally nothing. I mean, I know he was in 3 movies, but in the
you just made everybody mad.
I'm not trying to. My point is for the amount of material that he's been put in other than video games, and he literally plays the same character every single time we see him.
The character of yelling. Yes, I know.
The character of yelling, and you just can't, like, he just wrecks everyone. Even in video games, you can't really hit him and have it do much damage. Like, the whole point is he comes in, he's done very little in terms of actual character development or scope in the story or anything, but he just has this massive following of people who thinks that either he's the strongest person alive or any of this other stuff. And it's just really kind of fascinating to me that Broly is so popular amongst the Dragon Ball community.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Broly is a character that, for the amount of work that he's put in, he is far exceeded, expectations as far as like how popular he should legitimately be. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that, when it comes to Dragon Ball, a lot of the fan base doesn't particularly care about the storytelling. They just care about the muscles. They care about the action, that type of stuff. That's what they care about. So like Broly, he totally fits that mantra. And that's not saying anything bad about anybody, because that's how I was when I was younger or whatnot. But like, you grow to appreciate character progression and stuff like that. And then you really look at it in hindsight and say, okay, well, Broly wasn't the most developed character. So, for the body of work that he has, I would say that he probably is literally the most beloved character in this series. But,
yes.
For a character that actually had a significant amount of time, I'm rolling with Trunks. You're rolling with Vegeta, basically.
Yeah. And, I just want to say, just because I definitely think that, like, if we're taking it in terms of sheer popularity, I think we're both right when we say it has to be Goku, just because he is the main character of the entire series. But at the same time, when you compare Goku, and if you're comparing it between like character development and just like how much that we really appreciate like who this character is and how far they've come, then obviously Gohan, Vegeta, and Trunks, even Piccolo and Ten Shinhan, in my opinion, and Krillin as well, like kind of usurp Goku, because Goku, kind of in the same way of every shonen formula is, he's the guy who has to come in and save the day. He literally can't change much from one arc to one arc. I mean, he has to kind of stay kind of focused and be who he is, but everyone else around him has been really developing. And that's why we really like these characters more, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and everything else, because they have literally been allowed to evolve when Goku kind of just has to stay stagnant, just because that's like literally his character. And the fact that not just because the show will make him, and obviously he just has to be that way. He has to be the hero at the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just going to go ahead and put this right here. I'm just going to say this to kind of end the video. My favorite Dragon Ball Z character, you guys can let me know down below in the comment what yours is as well. My favorite character in Dragon Ball Z has always been and always will be Yusuke Urameshi. Peace out. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Mark. Peace.